even started yet.
Well, I mean, like, just do it. Just do the intro.
Just do it.
Come on.
This
No,
is
no,
like,
welcome. No, there's watch. Yeah.
okay. This
Ross,
is
let him speak.
Yeah. No, I'm letting him speak. Come on.
Okay, sorry, my bad. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, he's gonna do it now.
Yep, no serious. This is Heimdall's Watch, brought to you by Isolated City Gaming. You guys.
You're not supposed to laugh. You're not supposed to laugh. You're supposed to get it clean.
Yeah, James, good one.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to get us together and just have a chat because we've got that shorter episode that'll be coming out alongside this, just due to the lost recordings. I just want to have like a bit of a catch up for
Our
people
12 listeners.
Not a few more than that.
13.
Okay, maybe 13.
Yes.
Baker's dozen. But I just wanted to sort of go through sort of what was not recorded, some of the background stuff of Heimdall's Watch, and then we sort of just bleeds a little bit into Sunday sessions as well because they do share a common world.
Go into our dark secrets.
Yep.
Our dark, mysterious secrets.
Shit.
Right. I start fires.
And I also wanted to just talk about the characters, talk about some of the one-shots, and
Cool.
This is the journey of how we all became the lawful good characters we are today.
Sorry, the which goods?
Lawful
The lawful
good.
whats?
The lawful good characters.
the what?
The awful,
what?
the awful good characters.
Awfully good at not doing that.
I understand the words you're saying, but when you put them all together, that's nonsense.
I'm practically lawful good for a drow.
For a drow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not bad.
Yeah.
Well,
Who's starting?
I thought I might just start off just because I got the
Tell us about your character, Ryan.
Tell us about all of your characters. I want to know the backstories. I want to know where...
Start with Bob and move down.
Yeah, where was Bob born? What was his childhood like?
What made Bob the man he is today?
that's mostly the torment by Hana and Vicky, but
Yay.
How is he alive?
see that would be getting ahead of things slightly in the story as to where we're at.
Just a deep well of spite.
Oh
Just-
yeah, he is just 100% made of spite. What I was
Okay,
going to do,
we're getting sidetracked by things.
We
How
are.
was the universe created?
well, that's one of the things I wanted to do first is just sort of set this scene for this setting.
I was segueing you.
Yeah, it's
I
good,
was,
it's
I was setting you up.
You're kind of cutting into the segue now.
Yeah, good one. How dare you?
The setting is it's my own creations, but it's borrowing from a lot of different sort of references and sources. It's using a little bit of like Shadowrun. I've used a little bit of concepts from the Shadowrun RPG, and I think there's some video games for Shadowrun as well, which is sort of a cyberpunky fantasy game.
It's dwarves with guns, right?
Yeah, it's Dwarves with Guns. It's sort of, it's got the sort of, cyber tech, but with fantasy and magic and bits and pieces going on. I thought, and when I first sort of writing this up was about the time that Horizon Zero Dawn was really kicking off. So that was sort of pretty fresh in my mind, and having a whole world post-apocalypse.
That explains all of the robot dinosaurs that are always just out of shot.
I just thought, you guys could put that in there in your own sort of mindset.
I thought that was like the elephant in the room. We're just supposed to ignore that and move on.
In the other game where Trev turned into a T-Rex, it was actually like a robot T-Rex.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
That's not actually a thing.
No.
No,
But,
the robot part is not a thing. But essentially,
It is.
the
It
setting
can
that
be
I'm-
to you.
Sorry?
It can be to you.
anything could be a robot if you imagine hard enough.
Puppet is actually a robot. It just hasn't come up in story.
Technically, we're just fleshy robots.
The fleshiest.
What was it? Like
You should see these
skeleton
fluids, man.
Driven by a human brain.
It's a skeleton covered in meat, driven by a human. That's just a person. That's just a person you're describing right now.
Or a robot.
It's all chemicals and electricity.
Or for our international listeners, a robot.
Robots.
But yeah, in the history of the world, and this is set in sort of the future of the real world of this Earth Prime.
Earth in the year 2024.
I haven't set a date for when the apocalyptic event happened, but sometime in
2019.
the game settings history and our future, there was a cataclysmic event which involved a large comet or meteor striking Earth.
It's your fault.
Yay.
Right about, well, pretty much right about.
Now.
Oh no, it's
Three.
it basically took out.
Two.
It basically landed in essentially where Ireland is and took out most of Ireland and Wales.
They had it coming.
The
Which
potatoes.
created the crater, which you guys have visited, and that was part of recordings, or that was after.
I think that was...
We didn't get recording of the focus, did we?
No, we didn't.
No. And that created the crater that has been referred to as the focus. It was such a grand scale cataclysmic event that basically all the life sort of had to either retreat below ground or to safe zones, and then over time, like the humans of the world, some that were sort of buried underground evolved into things like gnomes, dwarves, and things like that. Some other ones that sort of managed to hide out in wilderness areas ended up becoming sort of like the Fey style creatures, elves, and so forth. And yeah, over time, humans sort of had diverting paths of evolution, creating some of the fantasy.
Magical evolution.
Yeah.
So it's a post-apocalyptic setting where everything sort of gradually morphed into being very Tolkien-y fantasy style.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it.
I guess everything's wrapped up in a neat little package then, isn't it?
Pretty. Yeah, sure.
Oh, sweet.
Nothing for us to do here. Bye.
One of the big things is this whole event sort of brought magic back to the world, along with a much more direct hand in sort of the machinations of life, I guess, with the gods essentially came back in much higher force. Essentially, yeah, it is a theocracy. But because of that, like a lot of any of the old tech or anything of our future or their past doesn't work like it used to. And there's an entire sort of trade and everything of old world relics, and it's reclaimers in the Heimdall's Watch setting that get old world relics like ray guns, lasers, all sorts of other sort of trinkets, but essentially, our future tech, and get them sort of working by tapping sort of arcane power into them. That's basically the setting, without giving away too much that your guys wouldn't know.
No, keep going.
Specifically, the setting is in that world. We're in the Norse sort of area under the direction of the churches of the various Norse gods. The city of Gezerect is where we're primarily
Gezerect,
located,
yep.
which is split into different sort of sectors of the city, each one generally devoted to one of the churches. I believe that was in
the churches are sort of set up in sort of rings of. So right in the center is like Odin, Freya, all sort of like the pinnacle, like the higher gods in the Norse pantheon are sort of located. Their churches are located towards the center, and they tend to coordinate sort of the grander bureaucracies, essentially of.
They're like the rulers of the city. Yeah.
So Odin's is essentially the government. Freya's is the health system. Heimdall, who's on the next ring out, is like policing and watching over the citizenry. Thor is military, so on and so forth. And you guys are
Chaos.
watchmen, and yes, chaos. You guys are watch officers in Heimdall's church.
Watch officers. I'm doing like sarcastic air quotes that you can't hear. So I'm not really sure.
We
why I
all
did
take
that.
our duties very seriously. Come on.
I mean, Papa does.
Yeah,
Right.
Puppet
Actually,
is
of everyone,
actually
Puppet
with
definitely
the
does.
temple.
Well, there we go. And if we divide that out evenly across the party, we all technically take it very seriously.
I don't know. There's some like negatives going on.
Look, we've had our ups and downs. Like, any type of employment.
Employment.
I use that word.
One of us is successfully employed, yes.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's basically caught us up to getting us into the setting. What have you guys got to go around and sort of discuss your individual characters, where you sort of came to when we came in at, because we started at level 3, so we assumed a year of essentially rookie training amongst the watch, because I wanted to skip over the frightfully boring first couple of levels of D&D where you can't do very much.
Oh, I miss. I guess I die. Oh, good. I'm fighting a house cat. Guess I die.
I'm fighting the patriarchy.
Oh, we've had a fight. Time for a long rest because we're all fucked up.
I thought, level 3 was a good part to jump in because most people got their specializations and got some cool abilities at level 3, and it gave us sort of a reason to brush off the early meetup and not be the you met in a tavern group.
Yeah, we sort of had already started the game as an established group of like a strike force of police.
Special task force.
Yeah,
kind of.
essentially, special task force would be a good way of looking at it.
Very special task force.
What's that, Ross? Go over.
Okay, so Leland, the fine, upstanding gentleman that he is, was originally like a street hustler. The idea being all the magic artifacts and like less magic artifacts that sort of circulate around the city. He's part of like an underground, like a black market of dealing in those sorts of things. He maybe occasionally got his hands on actual magic items, but like his stock in trade was mostly like dodgy counterfeit magic items. Forgeries. And he probably got a bit in over his head with that sort of thing regularly, because that is Leland's thing. The thing that sort of kicked off his adventure-y business is he came into the possession of a mysterious book, which we've just been calling the book. Like with capitals and like italics.
And some bold font.
Like,
and Comic Sans.
Weirdly Comic Sans, yeah.
All Comic Sans.
Very official.
And from this book, he sort of started getting, like, he thought he was learning magic spells from this book, but really what it is the book was sort of worming its way into his mind and sort of just granting him magic powers. But him not being as sharp as he could be and a little bit, like, deluded, he just assumed he was learning spells like a wizard does, and that he's a wizard now, and he just found a magic book and learned spells for it, because he's just that great a wizard, and that this stuff isn't as hard as those wizards try and portray it as. Jumping forward a bit, he sort of like is using his little magic tricks around the edges just to give himself a bit of an edge, and he sort of gets like deeper in than he should have, and starts trying to pull some like magic assisted cons on people he should not be trying to pull magic assisted cons on, and he got double crossed and handed over to the watch and got full arrested.
Full actual arrest.
Full actual arrested.
And jail time.
But the nature of the book meant that he couldn't actually be separated from it for too long, and even if he sort of lost it, it would sort of just worm its way back into his possessions. So he sort of like upped his game a little bit on the inside and managed to like learn some charm magic, and through some like judicious employing of charming his jailers, managed to convince them to, let him work off his sentence in the what's the name for it? The like.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I was originally going with he got like a 48 hours type situation. But that may not be a reference that anybody gets. But yeah, he managed to use his charm magic to sort of convince them to bring him onto this like police force, using his sort of expertise in tracking down like the magical items, and him being like sort of like an inside man. And yeah,
is the word you're looking for furlough? No, that's a different thing.
Yeah, I don't know. There is a word for it.
There's a word. Yeah.
I don't know.
Not for
I don't think in the
for
real
those,
world
like,
they
personal
let
leave.
like
Yeah.
criminals work as police. I don't think that's a thing they do.
Not as police.
Not as police.
Yes, that's called the actual
this
police.
This is pure fantasy.
You're your own Suicide Squad.
Hmm. There you go. Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he, yeah,
Wait,
Literally.
I really haven't been really ramping up like the amount of times that you guys have had to really work around the metal collars you've got with the explosives. I haven't really been playing around with that. I just assumed you guys remember you had them.
oh,
It's gotten close a couple of times, actually.
Yeah,
Puppet's actually
got,
holding the trigger.
It's got a whole proximity thing as well, which is really awkward when you jump over to a gnome village. You've got to knows how far away. It's
Good
just
thing
like
it-
constant beeping in your ear.
good thing it doesn't work.
yeah.
That's basically caught us up to.
That's where we started the session, and then I think he gradually over the first few adventures, stuff started slipping, and
Just a little bit.
yeah. So I don't imagine, like I don't imagine people really know that he's not a wizard and actually a warlock, but anybody that's spent like an extended period of time around Leland is probably getting a sense of there being not proper.
Not a wizard.
Not a wizard.
Not actually a wizard.
Not an
You are a
actual wizard.
spellcaster with a book.
Yeah.
That's not a wizard.
Yeah. Look.
I hate to break
yeah.
it, buddy. It didn't take that long.
Yeah, well.
You're a
Let's-
sorcerer.
let's face it, you managed to
Oh,
peek
yeah.
behind the kimono a little bit.
Wild
because of the fact
magic.
You know what his character
The
class
wildest.
actually is, but
Cleric.
We weren't entirely clear as to like the prevalence of warlocks in the setting and whether that's a thing that is generally like well known around or something that would be treated with shame and secrecy in general. I was sort of approaching it from that angle, but you know.
honestly, it hasn't come up.
Yeah, well.
I hadn't considered that point.
Mm.
It'd be something I could work on.
Ooh.
It's probably something authorities would want to keep an eye on.
Shh, he's a
Warlocks.
wizard. He's just be cool. Just be cool for
Sorcerer.
2 fucking seconds, alright?
Cleric. Paladin.
Yeah, or somebody else.
Yeah, and Mr. Goiter with Hana.
Well, I wanted to play a rogue because I wanted to play something that was nice and easy. So of course I've ultimately multi-classed into a spell thing. I've got another class rogue which has lots of abilities, and I'm playing a race that everyone hates and distrusts. So beautiful. My plan has worked fantastically. I can just
Confirmed
fit
hates
into
and
every
distrusts.
single social circumstance. No problems whatsoever to pick up and play. No problems whatsoever. F in chat for me. I just really wanted to play rogue. Whenever I played D&D, like I played a lot of 3.5. I never really played a rogue. Like I never really played a rogue or a spellcaster. I thought, now's the time to play a rogue. So I thought I'd give it a shot. That's kind of the reason why I picked rogue. I've never played a drow before. Most of the time I play like a catered good or lawful good or neutral good sort of character. So I thought, why not play a homicidal maniac working for the police force? That seems fine. And something that can easily be balanced. Beautiful.
As far as Hana's backstory goes,
Yeah. So I kind of didn't put that much thought into it. I had like a really base idea because I kind of wanted to keep it open so I could explore and like either throw in like if something like an opportune moment really came up, I could take a
Like
left
we've
turn and
done-
go, oh,
like we've done a little bit with
Yeah.
recently with even just naming your sister.
that's right. Just to keep things open for narrative, or now would be a good time to start doing that. But essentially, my character was decided to leave the Underdark for undisclosed reasons with her sister. Eventually settled in Heimdall, and
Well, within
Oh.
within Gesserek.
with Gesserek, sorry, within Gesserek, and due to their violent nature, quickly settled into the sleazy underbelly of the city, using their unique talents of thievery and assassination primarily to their benefit, and well, just exclusively to their own benefit to make sure they were comfortable, had money, and were left alone. At one point, a deal or something went the wrong way, and when I guess like the the people the authorities typically don't care about go missing. No one really raised too much of an eye, but probably went a little bit too far and hit someone of a reasonably higher off social standing. They had an unfortunate accident, which brought the attention of the Heimdall's watch a bit more, and eventually over time they were tracked down. Some police officers were murdered in an attempt to try and escape, but were captured in the day and both arrested and thrown in jail. For whatever reason, Hannah was picked as, the ability to sneak around, get around, and to take care of problems in a less than official manner. It was looked upon, so that she was kind of brought onto the books, essentially, to reduce her sister's sentence and to keep out of prison herself.
And your sister was essentially kept as a sort of a ward and ransom.
That's right, yeah.
That's the part I love about that setup is if there was the two of them that were captured and Hana is the one that they decided, okay, we can afford to let you loose, but we're keeping your sister under lock and key. Like, how bad is she? But you're the one that they decided can be let out into the world.
Well, that could be a thing as well. Yeah. I'm the good-natured one.
You're the one that people like to be around.
I only murder half the people I come across.
You don't scream constantly when in the sunshine.
That's correct.
Only half the time.
Screaming internally. But yeah, and then throughout the character has a kind of play. Like, I got bitten by that werewolf and the ability to turn into a werewolf kind of came into play. I thought it'd be interesting to try and kill that, but also multi-class into something you wouldn't normally do with a rogue and play around with a druid. I thought it'd be interesting.
Level 2 druid and not level 8 rogue?
I think I am. I'm level 9 rogue, level 2 druid.
Okay.
Leland is level 10.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's
it's
a
level 10
level
as well.
9.
Look at me keeping up with where our levels are.
Just give us a couple of levels and
GM
we'll go.
right there.
Yeah.
I know what my players are doing.
So we're level 13 now?
Like, we're seriously just here for
Negotiating
levels.
for levels has only worked a couple of times, alright? I don't think
It's only going to work 5 or 6 more times, you guys. Come on.
All right,
'cause
level
then
17, that's
then
it.
you'll be max level.
Hooray!
So what you're saying is we're max level.
No, that's
Got him! Nice one.
And then we're max level and we're just like, come on, just let us multi-class into 1 or 2 more things.
You've evolved.
I'm a drow, gnome, human, barbarian, rogue, warlock.
How do you
Druid fighter.
multi-race? Like
Surgery.
during your life.
No, we've got like 20 more levels to go. You may as well.
There's
Oh.
medications that you can take. It's,
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Surgeries,
Yeah.
spells.
Yeah, fair. It is 2019.
Spell surgery.
Or whatever year this place is set in.
4019.
2021.
He could be known by adoption.
Shit got real bad next year.
I mean, everything's fine. The world's great.
James with Poppet.
Perrin.
Perrin, yes, of course.
Perrin
His actual
Hilltopple.
name.
Yes. He has a real name. So this is my second time playing D&D. The first time a couple of years ago, which I played, I think, 1 or 2 sessions of. So, I tried to avoid taking any part in the social aspect of D&D, and for that I chose to start off with a mute, which Ryan was delighted about, and subsequently would not let me choose to be a bard, because I was insisting on being a mute.
That would be tricky. It'd be cool,
It
though.
would, but
And look what's happened.
I became a bard!
I think if somebody wanted to do that, you'd let them do it, but they have to have a kazoo the whole time.
I'm okay with that.
Just humming words through a kazoo.
Like it's one of the Marx brothers was that. It's like a horn.
Oh God.
No wait, no, it was a kazoo.
It's,
Yeah.
I
It's
feel like
probably
it
a
would be a
kazoo.
kazoo.
Yeah.
It's actually a
I don't know
recorder.
enough of the Marx Brothers stuff to be able to even validate that.
I just play hot cross buns on the recorder every session.
Oh no, okay, I don't like this plan. Now.
So Ryan may have suggested the monk might be more suitable to that plan.
Yeah.
So Poppet actually started out on the tundras, just living in a little village that was dedicated actually to Heimdall. And so he grew up learning all about Heimdall. during the course of his growing up when he was young, he was actually discovered a group of relic seekers and decided to join them to go hunting relics, ostensibly for the temples. Turns out they weren't hunting them for the temples. At one point, they were actually encountered by a group of hunters who actually came from one of the temples, the Temple of Odor, who was the god of light. I'm probably pronouncing his name terribly wrong. And his group decided to kill them all right in front of him. So that was fun. That didn't really go over so well with Poppet, and that night he killed his whole group and ran away.
Yep.
He eventually found his way to a monastery where they assumed he was a mute because he refused to speak and offered him to join, and he accepted and learnt the ways of the shadow monks. And eventually, somewhere along the lines, made his way onto Gesserect and joined up with the Watch.
Yep. I imagine there was my thinking there is there's some sort of like opportunity to move on from the monastery to the city and get gainful employment amongst the Watch. I think the Watch and the military probably have a decent amount of monastery monks.
Yes, I'd imagine. Yeah. And coming from a background with association to Heimdall, it makes a bit of sense.
Yeah.
I think it is hilarious that we've got. I mean, I think in premise as well, because the
three lawful good characters.
The fourth member of the party initially was also a cleric of Heimdall, and I think the premise was.
I think he was Frigga. He ended up being.
Oh yeah, that's right.
yes.
Yeah.
Was he a cleric? I thought he was a fighter.
He
Well,
decided to change to Frigga.
and so I was going under the assumption that the reason why two criminals were partnered up with two like a cleric and a monk, sort of as a supervisory role, and then Finley's leaving the party has just left two criminals with
A very easily
an easily manipulated monk.
Oh yeah. Poppet's intelligence is in the negatives.
But boy, howdy, is he a trier?
Boy, does it.
I also really liked your commitment to being a mute for the longest time. That was pretty.
I have with me my original 3 A4 cards, which I've actually printed out and stuck on individual slips of words that Poppet would hold up during social sessions to try and communicate with people because he refused to talk. They go through slips such as hello, goodbye, who, what, where, when. There's his name, Poppet. There's one that says it was the murder hobo. That was for Goita specifically. I planned everything.
But eventually we got you into a position where you would actually talk, put you in a bit of a position where...
He surprised me.
Well, I think in the reduction of two players leaving to go overseas, and then one person coming in and not being able to commit, had to...
You kind of need more than two
you
speaking
do.
characters.
Although I do enjoy the
Silence.
Hannah Leland riff sessions as we try and talk away out of...
It tickles me. For a while there, we had the steely silent assassin type, the literal Valve silence monk, and Leland who just never fucking shuts up.
But unfortunately, the steely silent type and this actual silent type don't make for good recording. So...
Yeah, they
Those
can't
little
really see
features
when I
are good.
hold things up.
You should just keep quiet for like a full 10 seconds. That would have been hilarious.
you guys can't do it if you want to.
It's too late.
Yeah, we can.
I guarantee you can't.
We can.
The thing is, we can't do it when you want us to.
See, we're most of the way there.
Basically done.
Well,
We can do it
I did
anytime
it.
we want.
Easy.
if you total it all up together, then Goita wins.
Yes!
But yeah, as you guys were saying, that we had a fourth player, Kevo, that was playing Finley, the cleric, and yeah, he was a.
Was he a cleric?
That
Don't
was never really
clerics,
proven. It was written on his paper.
don't clerics have healing spells?
Generally, they have healing spells.
Oh, okay.
It seems to be a trope on these things now that clerics just don't do all that much healing.
I'd hate to play cleric. Clerics seem to be a little bit... Meh.
Oh no, they really got the they really got buffed to hell in 5th ed.
In 5th edition, they have cool healing stuff. They also have all of the other cool stuff as
Okay,
well.
I've not really given them much of a
It's-
look.
They're crazy and broken, and it's just like it's the Wizards of the Coast being like, play a cleric. Your party needs a cleric. Here's all this cool stuff just to get you to play.
There's
a
like
cleric.
Next
half
character,
a
a
dozen different
cleric.
schools of cleric you can go with.
Yeah.
and
You can be a fighter. You can be
It's the car yard that's selling the old car that seems a little bit shitty, but they've done all this work to it.
This bad boy can fit so many clerics in it.
There we go.
And how much spaghetti can clerics hold?
Next
This
question.
much.
That's a lot of spaghetti.
But yeah, so Finley was started off as a Heimdall devotee, if I remember right, and then partway through shifted his
Attentions
attentions.
to a lady.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
And so Pop had to multi-class into Bard, and we finally got our healer.
Yeah,
I liked the part where a cleric murdered people. That was fun.
yeah. And
He-
accidentally
he-
threw someone off a cliff.
Yeah.
Right after saving them.
He wanted to exercise the black goo out of Leland at one point by hitting him with a hammer. That was
It
fun
would've
times.
worked.
I believe they were
Well-
both naked at the time.
Well, look.
One
Well-
started off naked, and then the other one decided, when in Rome.
It's a party. Have fun at a party.
But both you guys mentioned sort of previous game experience as well. So, let's
I have none. Oh,
you
like
played
one
a
or
couple
two
sessions
sessions.
in another D&D game. Any other role playing?
Nope.
No, nothing whatsoever.
Nope.
Well.
I told you, it's those social encounters, man.
What a...
My specialty.
Yeah, so I played D&D 3.5 for a very long time. I think it had like a campaign that went on for 3-4 years, like once every fortnight, sometimes once a week. I think I was
Yep.
playing like a scion,
Oh, right.
like the wizard, but a psychic wizard.
Yes. Mind wizard.
Which was good fun. That took us all the way to like level 21. Like I think in 3.5 they had like the normal 1 to 20, and then you had like the
The
epic,
prestige classes?
yeah,
or
prestige or epic levels. I can't remember anymore.
Paragons.
Yeah,
something? Oh,
there was like it was like here's the standard like 0 to 20 levels, and if you feel like breaking the game and making everything just batshit stupid,
Yes.
you may also go to these levels.
enjoy.
Can we?
No, not in 5.
But that was good fun. So I played a lot of D&D 3.5, and then that went by the wayside and played a bit of Pathfinder, but
Which was
basically
3.5
3.75
Yeah.
basically, because 4th edition came out and was just basically like WoW, and wasn't.
It was D&D the board game.
And look, I'm sure it would have been. I just never played it. I'm sure. Actually, looking back at the time that I have spare now to play games, like that actually seems perfectly fine. I like 5th edition. That seems to be like a good balance between a lot of things are simplified and just flow a bit nicer, but it's also not as overly complicated as 3.5, not as bloated. I mean, you could do so many dumb things in 3.5.
Well, that's the sort of.
But I just
joke-
haven't
that's
the time
one of
to
the
read
jokes
through that
about,
anymore.
About 3.5 is there's a chart for everything, isn't there?
Hmm.
It was pretty full on, like, because everything was written so, like, play a wizard, like all these rules and stuff were written so vaguely. You could do so much, like, which was cool. If you've got the time to memorize 60 source books and trudge through it all, but
Yeah.
I ain't got time
Let's
for that.
face it, the 5th has got enough stuff for me to go through and keep things fresh,
Yeah.
and they can constantly bring out more and more stuff.
And I'm sure there's plenty of stuff from 3.5 and whatnot. You could easily, bring it to 5th with
yeah.
a few tweaks. Wouldn't be that hard.
Not at
And
all.
I'm sure someone's already done it anyway. Then I played some of the War Machine RPG for
Yeah, we did that for
a
a
little
while.
bit. That was good fun.
It was very combat heavy. It struggled a little bit in the social side of things.
Yeah.
But it's based off War Machine, which is a
Combat-based game.
a war game.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, no, that was pretty much my. I think I've done some other games here and there and again them a try, but end of the day, I always just kind of come back to playing D&D, which is just kind of a nice excuse to hang out with some friends and roll some dice for the most part. Don't take it
can
too
we meet,
seriously.
can we meet those friends one day?
Nah.
They sound cool.
Do they?
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Ross?
I started maybe like a decade ago or so, like playing GURPS with
Is that Steve Jackson games?
yeah, the generic universal role play thing. That was crazy. That was like it was a bunch of custom like settings that the GM had come up with, and it's just rules. It's just rules and 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 rules. It's cool. But they were like no nonsense old school gamers, so
yep.
that was like
Rules purists, you would say?
it's not. No, it wasn't that. It was just like that shit was harsh, and there were no takebacks, and you died. That shit. Anyway, that sort of yeah. Yeah, that was a good time. After that, like moved on to like the Iron Kingdoms game. I played a little bit of 4th edition, but like that campaign didn't really get off the ground. I tried to run a 5th edition campaign at one point, doing Lost Mines of Fandelver, and that only got one session in, and then that didn't happen anymore. And now this.
Honestly, it's just been all downhill.
Well, fair.
Also, I've realized I've lied to the handful of fans that we have on this podcast.
What's that?
Back years and years ago, when Malifaux were playtesting their Into the Breach role-playing system, I was part of that playtest group. My name actually appears in the credit in their book for that game.
Oh yeah.
It's just as well you came
I
clean 'cause
contributed
someone-
absolutely nothing to
Is
that.
that with
I was
Simo and
Yeah.
those guys?
Yeah, I contributed absolutely nothing, but my name is in that book, and I will take that.
It's a good thing you came clean on it, because somebody could have fact-checked you and proven you
I
were lying.
I really think they would have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would have.
One quick Google search for James's name.
Totally the first thing that's
And
going to
that's
pop up.
definitely the
Please,
first
for the
thing.
love of God, do not Google my name. Oh God,
You haven't said your full name on the podcast yet.
and we won't.
Yeah. James Smith.
Dun, dun,
Dun. Okay. I don't know if you guys are going to believe this or not, but before these games, like this one here and the other group, I'd not played D&D. The gasp.
That's a lie. Look at you. You're a nerd.
I played what?
I said that's a lie. Look at you. You're a nerd.
Yeah, I've played more than a handful of other RPGs. I've played Cthulhu Tech, which is a sort of a future, a sort of sci-fi version of in the Cthulhu mythos. Legend of the Five Rings. I've played Seventh Sea. A whole bunch of sort of.
So why do you hate Dungeons and Dragons?
Why do you hate Dungeons and
It's
Dragons?
not-
Why do you hate Dungeons and Dragons?
Is it is it the dungeons?
Is it the dragons?
Is
it
it
the
the
It's the
ampersand?
dragons, isn't it?
It's the ampersand.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I am not a fan of Ampersand. Or trying to say it.
Same.
Years, an undying hatred of punctuation.
No, it was actually the guy that used to run most of the games is one of those ones that never wants to play the popular one. Was always sort of like wanting to try.
A hipster.
Oh,
I want to play D&D because everyone plays D&D.
It's a hipster.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, there's more wanted to like, here's another cool setting. But you'll want to play elves and dwarves and everything, so still you're essentially playing D&D, but not D&D. It's a whole thing.
I can't believe it's not D&D.
I can.
There
Tastes just like
were a couple
D&D.
of couple of fun games we played that were sort of off that sort of the fantasy realm. He's the first one that I played Fiasco with, and that was really really good fun. Which I want to play again, by the way. Really want to play some Fiasco again. It's so good fun. But yeah,
Bring back Doug Nutt.
oh fuck.
Release the Doug Nut cut.
Where
Doug
do you
Nutt-
find the Fiasco system?
That's well.
Where can listeners find more information on Fiasco?
Most of the things that I grab that aren't D&D, I get off Drive Through RPG.
Drive-through RPG.
Yep. Just
.com.
Paid for. Yeah, you pay for the PDF downloads and off you go. Some of them are some of the things like I was looking up the rules for Honey Heist, and that's a pay what you want. So you can pay
sweet.
pay $1 or nothing or $50 for it. Pay what you want, and that's I'm looking forward to running Honey Heist. It looks so fun.
We're bears.
Look forward to an
Bears.
episode of Honey Heist coming to you soon.
We're bears.
Do you want to go through what we did leading up to?
Not really.
Didn't we
The
already
actual-
record like a little summary thing for that, or we didn't record
Ryan went through an overview, I think, in the very early episodes of what had occurred, or maybe for the fair.
Are you
very
talk-
first.
All the sessions up to this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I did this sort of
I'm
overview
with you.
of the world that exists. But yeah, I think the first little arc was.
I can't remember what happened yesterday, let alone like a year and a half ago.
You gave me all your stuff.
Oh no! I need that stuff to live.
I'll give it back.
Oh, thanks, man.
Your first arc, if I
I'm
remember
not
right,
kidding.
was
Oh, no.
tracking down some black market trading on old world relics.
Oh, that's right. That was our little SWAT
Yes.
intervention into that the dock.
Yeah, went down to the docks, went to the tavern, which I have a name for.
Is it the
God, I used to write a lot of notes.
Was it the
Dang.
Flaccid Dragon?
Was it the Flaccid
shit.
Dragon?
No, it's not the Flaccid Dragon.
It's
Holy
always.
shit, how much
always
notes
the
did I write?
Flaccid
What the fuck
Dragon.
is this bullshit? I mean, hey, this is good.
I know we went into a bar and Leland was trying to pose as like a
The
magic.
salted sail. There we go.
Hey. He was trying to pose as a magic item dealer
Yep.
and managed to bluff his way into like making tricking them into thinking he had an invisibility cloak to sell.
Ta-da.
That was cool. That was cool. Then we got on the inside.
Yep. And then eventually sort of planned a heist on a warehouse.
Oh yeah, and there was a crazy gnome with a giant axe, right? Yeah,
It's a berserker.
it was a berserker.
Um,
And that's where we uncovered the blue candle.
Yeah, that's your
Dun
first,
dun dun!
sort of first instance to blue candles. You did manage to capture a bunch of the folks and get them back to the HQ. A lot of them were wearing, well, actually all of them were wearing either like these pendants with of a blue candle around their neck. There were there were some crates with a blue candle sort of stamp on them, if I remember right, which were
This
cases of various like weapons and stuff.
this criminal organization you've come up with is all about branding.
Yeah, they're branded pretty well.
Yeah.
But I think the big aspect of that one there was once you got everyone back to the HQ and got them into sort of the interrogation cells and so forth. At one point, I think you were talking to one guy and the chain.
We
on
were
his-
interrogating him, and he was just about to name the association that he was with. The
Leland,
Blue Candle
Leland was
Association.
mind reading.
We got
him.
as far as the Circle of War, and then suddenly he is
Explodey.
Then the candle medallion fled, and the chain heated up and tightened around his neck.
Yep.
He died.
Yes, he did.
He didn't get better.
Oh, effing
He
He
chat.
never got to
guy.
finish his word.
Yeah, the chain tightened around his neck, and then the rest of the folks that were in the cells waiting to be interrogated, all sort of conflagrated.
It's funny, just coinky dink.
Word.
Conflagrated is a fun word. I like it.
It's not an actual word.
Well,
though.
yeah, but we can
Conflagrated is a word.
No, we're bringing it back.
bring it back.
It was never not back to begin with, but we're bringing it back.
It didn't have an opportunity to go away until we give it to it now. Now it's going away.
Let's bring it back.
Let's not.
Conflagrated.
It's totes conflagrated. It was quite the coincidence that it all happened at the same time.
Weird, right?
The
Almost like magic.
the next session was one of the amnesia sessions.
I forgot about
I've
that.
only done two. of
Yes.
those.
Actually, I wasn't a part of that first one.
No, you
That's
missed
true.
that one. The amnesia sessions are a fun little thing I found out. I think I've heard about them on Reddit.
Oh god.
Well,
Don't go to
Reddit.
Reddit.
Has its perks sometimes. Oh yeah. Essentially, the players all woke up in a weird space. They weren't the characters they were normally playing. They had no memory of who they were or what their class was. And it's just a fun little way of like, I try and do this thing. Am I good at this? Sort of.
No, you die. Oh.
Oh no.
Frantically trying to fill out numbers when we roll things and ask if it worked or not.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I think you guys sort of woke up and worked out combinations to your lock boxes and got some of your gear and sort of started to establish what sort of roles you played within that world. And
Then
I
we
believe,
fucked up an electricity elemental.
yeah, and I basically got the power running in the place again by trapping a lightning elemental within essentially 2 transistors. Transformers.
Conduits.
Electrical
Conflagratories.
Ethical, sustainable power.
You're half right. Sustainable power. Ethical is a bit.
This is your creation.
It's a clean call, basically.
Clean call.
And this is perhaps where I made the most important note I have in any of my notes. Copy the hot lesbian. I'm not sure
That's
what she
what
was doing, but I made the note to copy the hot lesbian.
Who was that? I don't know.
It was someone's character. Someone was a strong, independent woman. An elf.
That was Kevo's amnesia character.
I would believe
yeah.
Kevo was a hot lesbian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Story checks out.
Story checks out. Hey, Kevo.
Yeah.
I know you're listening.
That was the first of the amnesia sessions. When you jump back to your original characters, you were sent to the crime scene of an attack and the subsequent abductions of reclaimers at one of the churches.
Oh, that's right. That was the first introduction to the bodily things and
yeah,
the candles
fact
and
that the blue candles could
yeah,
be used as a teleportation.
which will never ever come up again.
Nope,
The Church
not
of
at all.
Therum.
You guys got there, sort of worked out what happened, worked out someone set down a candle in the middle of the room and set off some sort of spell from it, and then basically used that to shepherd out all their captive reclaimers.
Did we save those reclaimers?
No.
No, we never saw them again.
You guys opened the portal up.
We're bad at this.
Because I think isn't that when we went to go rescue them? Then that was
That's where
the
you got
snowy
bitten by the
mountains.
werewolf.
That's when it's like a bit of the werewolf. Kevo murdered someone, and then to escape, we ended up, or was they? It was either to escape or we got pulled into.
We got portaled out into the Gnomeverse.
That's right.
We
fucking Gnomeverse.
we reopened their portal and followed them into a nondescript base somewhere.
Yes,
And
because
then
Ryan
we-
had this whole fight scene planned out, and
Yep.
then we just jumped through the open portal.
And we saw them shepherding the reclaimers through a portal. And instead of engaging in the fight scene, we tried to follow the reclaimers through the portal. But we ended up on a mountain. And then a werewolf attacked us.
Actual progress was you opened up the portal from Theorem's.
Yep.
And then following the reclaimers, there was a couple of fights along the way. I think there was a Grick along the way as well.
Yes.
And then you saw the guys being shepherded out of portal at the sort of the last area, and there was a bunch of other portals set up around. It was meant to be this whole fight where you guys would be fighting this boss. Meanwhile, he's summoning in whole piles of support, but someone just decided to tackle him through the portal in the back of the room. I can't remember. Was that Kevo that led that? Was it
That
you?
sounds
That
like-
was a Leland thing.
It
That
sounds
was
like a
he
Leland
he
thing.
used his stopwatch and did it before anybody could react.
Yep. So basically, it's just like Rugby tackled this guy through a portal in the back and threw Ryan's entire plans up in the air and I think that was the end of that session.
You're
Because,
welcome.
But yeah, essentially it dropped you guys into another little section where you ended up on the mountainside. That guy was a werewolf. He bit Hana. You guys finished him off. And yeah, it was following the trail of the reclaimers.
He
You
also
found-
had another book.
He did.
He had
Yes.
another book similar to Leland's book.
Oh.
that
I have
Leland
it here
took.
where you got his book.
Yes.
There are also 2 dude bros with sapity guns and 6 guards. All the
Good
important
You
notes.
did come across one of the reclaimers that was sort of grievously.
And then Kevo threw him off the
Oh
mountain.
yeah,
Kevo-
Kevo the cleric.
I was gonna. I had
Cleric
this whole
Kev.
death scene ready to go, but Kevo healed him. I'm like, okay, all right.
But luckily, Kevo wasn't a very
And
good
then-
cleric,
then-
and he still died
Kevo
anyway.
was like, I'm gonna carry him up the rest of the way up this mountain. Put him over his shoulder, rolled a 1, threw him down the cliff.
Problem solved.
That's some
So to answer your
Strategy.
question previously,
We've
we
killed a lot of
almost
people,
rescued
Ryan.
one of them.
You guys kept on along the trail.
Confirmed
and
almost 1 for 500.
Ended up essentially getting flushed through a portal
Yes.
into
That
the
was
Stone
where-
forest.
that was where we first met Craven.
Yes.
Craven's the one that did the flushing,
He is.
That's right.
That was.
and his friend the Goliath, who he sent in the flush after us.
Yep.
who then met a sticky end at the hands of a mysterious ranger.
Yep.
The Sticky Ranger.
A sticky ranger.
You did spot on that as you're on that mountain pass on the outside of outside of the that base. You could see down in the valley just like the hints of like a mining camp or some sort of excavation site in the valley.
There was a settlement and a gate.
Yep. That was sort of down in the valley below.
But then we're in Gnome Town.
And then you're in Gnome Town.
Gnomergon.
You met a gnomish ranger who was played by Kevo's partner Jess. It's a gnome by the name of Neve, who's popped back up in the story recently. She took out the Goliath after you guys sort of got confronted by that, and then took you to meet the rest of the village and the village elders to try and work out what the fuck is going on.
And then we worked out what the fuck was going on.
A little bit.
And
Then
how
I
to get
turned
home.
into a werewolf and I bit some people. Then I was subdued.
There was a whole
And
there's a whole
then
festival game.
oh, it was fun and games. We stole some stuff. We played some stuff.
Someone won a
Stuff
ring.
some stuff.
Someone won a
stuff.
ring.
The
Someone,
most valuable ring there ever was.
Someone won a ring. Someone also won a pack of cards.
A deck of many things, one might say.
Yeah. There was
Everything's
some fun
bad.
along the way. But eventually, I think you
Went back. I think wasn't it like a beast when we summoned the portal?
No,
we learned how
the
to-
portal opening. The portal is sort of like somewhat like almost like stuck open, or was just like spluttering out abominations and things from the sort of the Shadowfell and so forth, which you guys could see sort of flashing and sparking away in the sort of in the night.
And the gnomes gave us drugs so we could travel through the
Yeah, they
portals.
trained you on
The-
how to use the ley
Yep.
lines to travel long distances.
The
we
gnomes
could get
told us
home.
that the way that the blue candles are opening up these portals
It's
is
bad.
damaging to the very fabric of reality, and they
barriers
showed
between
us
the
the
planes.
safe way to do the same thing that the candles are doing.
Mhm.
Rather than punching a hole to whatever, it's sort of using ley lines to travel between points of interest and such like. And then he taught us how to take drugs and do that.
Yeah.
Fucking trippy, man.
Yeah.
And then we all got
eventually
safely back to
you
the
got back
temple.
back to the temple.
Everyone all together safely back.
Well, that was the time that you ended up in the.
Yes.
Was
yes,
it?
it was.
No, that was later. The
What-
first time wasn't the
First time
though.
was fine. It was the second time when we were coming back from the.
That was when we came back
focus.
from the focus.
Was it?
That's recorded.
It is.
The first time you went to the
Yeah, 'cause that was one of
librarian
the
was
first
recorded.
recorded episodes we did. Yeah.
Mm.
And now you're all caught up. Please listen to the rest of the.
We still got a few more things to go through. Yeah, you guys came back and you met a couple of other folks around the place.
That was when we chased Craven in the city for a little bit. We
We
came
got down
back.
into the sewers.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
We-
some downtime. Then chased
That's where we
Craven to
met
the
A,
cigarette.
a young Asima by the name of Sigrun.
Yep.
Down in the
She's
sewer.
not young. She's old.
This is before our party fucked
looks
her
young.
up good.
Yeah,
Well, Poppet did.
the
Um,
lead we had on it was
only
Craven, so we
enthralled her
started
once.
hunting Craven. I seem to recall we got like a wanted poster put up of him, and then he just appeared in the middle of the bullpen and said some portentous stuff at us, and then disappeared, and we gave chase,
Quick, follow that plot point.
and that's where we met Sigrun, because she was also giving chase.
Yes. You sort of you tracked him through into the sewers. He got you into a trap. Those guys got out of the trap, and then you met Sigrun on the way out. Essentially, James managed to tame a giant spider.
It was my friend.
It was your friend.
He's living a safe and happy life down in the sewers still.
He went
And
to-
that's
he went to
begun.
go live on a farm
The sad,
Yeah,
sad
The
journey
sewer upstate.
of the
with
ring of
other-
animal
with other-
friendship.
with other
Yeah.
spiders.
Yeah, in the sewer upstate.
In the sewer
It's a
upstate.
great big sewer in the sky.
Yeah.
Sigrun revealed that she was able to track Craven, and you had some evidence saying that he was gathering items and bits and pieces from the Focus, which is based off in the West,
It's that part, that's right.
which you guys managed to secure transport over, which ended up being a flying ship.
A flying ship.
A flying
It's a
Valkyrie's
ship that
cry.
flies.
Sorry.
The Valkyries cry.
There we go. Managed to get
After
across.
Goida
almost-
went to the Swinging Tackle Tavern.
That was my payroll
to secure-
scam.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And on the trip, Leland invented new forms of ship cuisine in the form of
Yes.
Werven gore.
Yeah.
Werven gore.
Yep.
Because that was about the time where Leland discovered that he could overcharge his spells and take on different kinds of corruption. He didn't really examine that too closely, and one time he overcharged a spell while attacking an air elemental and various wyverns, and he was overcome with an irresistible urge to eat wyvern
Entrails.
bits.
All-
I believe the term was Werven gore. So he did that, and he packaged some up for later to take along.
Some little Wyvern snack packs.
Yeah.
the good old
Entrail
WSP.
mix. Not trail mix, entrail mix.
Leland's weird, y'all. He's got some shit going on.
The ship's captain was Hadris, or Joey Jojo for short.
Jojo.
Oh god.
Joey Jojo.
After that, we jumped into a second amnesia session where you guys had discovered a few more bits and pieces about yourselves and essentially got a tower operational.
Yes.
Yeah.
After having to climb up it using all different plugs and rods.
Yep.
and
There was a
things.
whole. There was a small puzzle that wasn't hard to work out.
No.
You guys got into Londinium, which is essentially the old city of London. It is run by the Roman Pantheon. It is the sort of central authority on the control of the Focus. The Focus is a font of incredible arcane power, and especially in the form of a crystal called Arceus.
We arrived there on the 23rd of January 2018.
Wow.
Holy shit, seriously?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, we did this too long.
Almost 2 years.
Too long or not long enough?
You guys met with.
So really we
various,
should be another level higher.
The council that was. You met with the council that was in charge of essentially administering Londinium.
That's right. And we
After a
managed to
Chimera
get
attack.
2 days to go out into the Focus to find out what is going on.
Yep. Which you did. You went out and scouted. You essentially saw, well, the mining operation that is essentially the sandworms from June, because Ryan's not all that creative. And found a mining camp that had, shit going on.
That's right. And then that's when we discovered the doppelganger doing the things and some trickery.
Yep.
Leland made really good friends with Bahamut, the platinum dragon god.
Yep. Called, what was the other one?
Skyblade!
Skyblade.
Oh, that's right.
It's old mate Skyblade.
Yep. They ran into an actual dragon god.
And he and Leland are best friends.
Yeah, good buddies.
Best friends.
Good buddies. But yeah, there was a doppelganger that has some mind control capacity that mind fucked with Neve, Justice Ranger, and took on her form to try and...
That's right, because I was able to smell that she wasn't Neve.
And yeah, and Leland...
Over the course of that fight, Leland discovered his ability to purge his corruption ability into unsuspecting targets. Usually they died when he did that. The doppelganger didn't die when he did that. So the doppelganger just got corruption left in them.
Which has been fine.
Which has been fine.
It's definitely not been an entire sort of arc since...
It's been fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
This
Actions
is
never
fine.
have consequences.
You guys made your way back to Londinium.
I
there was-
also scored a bunch of drugs and stuff to sell at some point.
Yep, there was that whole side plot of
Where
buying
Kevo
drugs.
gave me money and now he's gone.
um,
Got him. I told you I'd win, Kevo. I told you I'd never pay you back.
Yeah, you guys got back to Londinium. You sort of noticed that a lot of the sort of the guard and the military of the area was sort of bailing out because that's linking in with stuff that's happening in the other game.
Bad stuff, guys.
Bad stuff happened, and a lot of the sort of the military was being shipped back home to deal with issues back in Rome.
When in Rome.
Yeah.
go back to Rome, I guess.
And yeah, you guys travelled back to Gesserit.
We did, and then
Nothing bad happened ever again.
And yeah, I think that's when we hit recording areas because I think we did the recording
Yeah,
of...
because that was the boat first. Boat.
There was the travel back, and
The
that's when he
travel
talked
to-
with the librarian, and then you got caught a boat to go to the Blood Cliffs.
That's correct. There
and
we
that
go.
was the boat trip with the Goliath.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, we found out about the Blood Cliffs by interrogating the doppelganger.
Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much got us caught up to where the recordings kicked in.
Although when we were in London, Leland did get another book added to his book, the Book of Ragnarok.
Yeah, the book from that the werewolf had. Wait, no, it
No,
was
this was
another-
from the actual
was
library in
another-
Londinium. After one of the 3 Heiters that we found had.
No,
gone
I
into
think you got the book
library.
at the Blood Cliffs.
Yeah, the book I got at the Blood Cliffs.
Yeah, because we
There
went
was
there.
also one in
No, wait, hold on.
Londinium That your
he
book consumed.
the book that got consumed was the one that I got off of the werewolf.
Yep.
It just didn't have a chance to properly examine it until we were in Londinium, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, you didn't really have much of a chance to do it because that happened on the boat trip, if I remember right.
Yeah.
It's been a while, apparently, since like January sometime last year.
This was on the 8th of February 2018.
Because
Yeah,
we.
yeah.
And that's where we got the portent
Still
to
over a year
do
ago.
Yeah, because we
from
started
your book to do
27.
with the blade and the hero falling from
Been doing
grace.
this for a while.
Yeah, just a little bit, because then I went overseas for a holiday.
You had a break,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of there's a nice little segue because I was going to talk about the one shots that we did when James was away.
The Nutverse.
Now on to Fiasco.
Well, that was one of the things we did when James disappeared for a little bit, and Kevo and Jess shifted over to the UK. Bless their little cotton socks.
Thank you, Peter Dutton, for being a turd.
Yep. Stupid potato.
Fucking potato.
Yeah, you got because it's only the 3 players plus myself. Losing one for a period of time makes for a little bit of difficult role play time. 2 players is just a little bit too few for D&D. So during that time, we played a bit of Fiasco for a couple of sessions.
Which is interesting. I found that because it's not driven by a DM with the world, and you have to create the world as you go. It was quite it was difficult.
Yeah, I think we took a little while to get ourselves rolling on the first one, trying to get our heads around it. But I think
I liked the first one, but then I liked the second one.
the Camp Death one.
I think the
turned out
Camp
really
Death one
well.
was really good. I found the drug one a little bit. Well, there wasn't the drug. The bank.
heist.
Yeah, the
Bank
heist.
heist one. Yeah.
And I found that one a bit more
But the accents were better in the
Difficult.
heist.
Oh, well, there we go.
So-
Sorted.
The accents were better in the
Mr. Real.
heist.
Wicked in it.
Wicked, isn't it?
But I definitely do want to fire up another some more one shots.
Well, I'm going away again
Oh, thank
in a
God.
few months.
No.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, firing up some
Not for
Fiasco.
long, though.
I do want to do Dread at some
No.
point because that's the one using
Love you
the
too.
Jenga tower as the
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's a good one. But I might have to clear some shit around from around the table.
I wouldn't mind doing a sitting for like a board game. I just don't know.
I think a couple of them you could do characters with things like Betrayal of the House on the Hill. That would be a good one if you wanted to role play the character a little bit. Yeah, Mice and Mystics would be another one as well.
Even just explaining what you're doing as you go on.
But yeah, I don't want to do that. No,
Maybe
I
not,
definitely
maybe
want to do
video.
Honey Heist. I think Honey Heist would be good fun
Bears.
because we want to be bears.
Bears.
Yeah.
Wearing hats, trying to not look like bears.
Bears.
Do we get a picnic basket?
Hello, boo boo.
It's all about stealing honey from Honeycon.
Are there picnic baskets?
There could be.
Yes.
Okay. What else do anyone want to talk about?
Nothing.
Other D&D podcasts or other gaming podcasts?
Well, most of them are pretty good. I guess.
Those
like,
are our competition. Screw them. We're the best.
Yeah.
I guess if you want like a really good
gonna ever take you down.
Well, I
We're
think
the
the
best.
big ones I wanted to cover was like
critical role.
Vox
Critical-
Machina.
well, starting off like Acquisitions Incorporated, the one the
this-
PAX
that one.
guys and everything started because that sort of they started that in 4th ed, and that was like what 10, 11, 12 years ago. So it started
Yeah,
a
about
long time ago. But they really sort of put actual play D&D kind of on the map. I guess, being sort of the foundation of, those guys are just genuinely funny.
Oh, that's where we go wrong.
You get that from doing a nerd-based comics for a living.
Yeah, if you've got talent, apparently you can do anything you want.
Shit.
If you don't, you become a public servant.
Whoa.
Damn,
man.
You okay?
It's true.
It's me.
He just cut you in half.
Both of us. It's a self-cut.
It's
It's okay. I'm bringing the government down from the inside.
It's a
no, the
self-hack
government's
hero.
taking the government down quite
Yeah,
successfully.
yeah. That's
The
certainly helping.
government's taking you down from the inside.
I'm dead solid
It
anyway. It's
doesn't
fine.
work like a public servant.
Yeah, see.
So Acquisitions Incorporated, then obviously like the Adventure Zone, Critical Role.
Yeah, I think the Adventure Zone got me into D&D podcast. Like, I listened to podcasts pretty sporadically. Then the Adventure Zone got me into it. There was a heavily railroaded, but like had good characters and good stories. It was interesting. I didn't like their other stuff that they did after that. I had a taste for like some, Dungeons and Dragons, I guess, podcasting. So I found Critical Role from that point, which I found to be really good. Has like a lot of good. While it's more heavily D&D based, like with actual D&D rules, it's primarily about the characters, which are quite enjoyable.
Oh yeah, and it's voice actors and character actors and stuff like that. That
Yeah.
doing it is who knew entertaining people could be entertaining.
Again, something, talent,
Yeah.
something.
Other ones I've been listening to. I listen to the Dungeon Cast, which is they like each week they sort of go through like different elements. They'll talk about like races, classes.
That's both racist and classist.
They're not. They've got some actual play podcasts they do as well, but I haven't been listening to those yet. But I use that one as a pretty big reference. I also, I'm not sure if any of you guys listen to Spirits. It's
No.
it's mythology and a mythology podcast. But they did a double episode about the Norse pantheon mythology, which was really helpful for what I put together for this. And they also did stuff on like the Roman gods and bits and pieces, and they've got some good stuff that I pull little bits and elements in as we go along.
Yeah, cool.
So between those two, I get a lot of little ideas that I use.
I do also enjoy Dice Friends by the Loading Ready Run crew, who are
I've watched
Canadian, a bit
yeah.
of
I love
comedic skits and live stuff and gaming.
I really like those guys. I haven't watched
Yes.
much of the Dice Friends stuff yet though.
They have a recent one. The most recent one they've done is from the Ravnica expansion to Dungeons and Dragons, which
Well,
is a sort of Magic the Gathering crossover.
That makes sense. Those guys love
And
their magic.
yes, and they formed a sausage party. View their cast to find out more.
Yeah, righto.
Okay.
Enough said.
It was about sausages.
Okay.
Oh, at least it's honest.
Really isn't everything on the internet about sausages?
I got a bit of travelling to do as well during my walking the doggo and general commute. So I also listen to a lot of other podcasts. Whoops, sorry, hit the mic. Judge John Hodgman is pretty good and lighthearted and good fun. I'd recommend that. Last podcast on the left. I hesitate to recommend generally. It's got I really love it, and I love their sense of humour and their chemistry, but it can be off-putting, I guess. It took me a bit to warm up to it, but once I warmed up to it,
it's
I
quite-
really love it. So you're either going to listen to a few episodes, fucking hate it, and then never listen to it again, or listen to a few episodes and fall madly in love.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. There's no middle ground with those guys, I
That's
think.
why we're going to see them live
Yeah,
when they
I
come
can't
to Australia in a
wait.
couple of months' time. And of course, like Bim Bam and yeah.
My
Excellent.
brother and me.
Yep.
What's another good one I like to listen to? The Dollop,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
American History Podcast. They do a lot of travelling, so they come to Australia a fair bit. So we've seen them live every time they've come to
Yeah, I've seen
Perth.
them the last
I
three
think-
or 4 times now. I think I've seen 3.
Did they come 4 times?
I think.
I
I
mu-
think they've done 4.
Yeah,
I
okay.
know
Then
I
I've only
missed the first
seen 3. Yeah. American History Podcast. Really interesting. Really funny. Would definitely recommend. If you like history and stuff as well, I'd really recommend
Dan Carlin.
Dan Carlin. Like, he's not a
Yeah.
historian, but he's historian adjacent. Not a fan.
I'm done with him.
Yeah, fair enough.
He knows what he did.
He's kind of done with him. He only puts something out like once a
Oh,
year now.
But like, I really like the way how he talks and the way how he spins a narrative and basically tells a story. I really quite enjoy it. Like his World War One stuff was really, really interesting. His stuff on Julius Caesar and stuff like that was really, really interesting.
Yep.
And the current like supernova in the east is also
Yeah,
really
that-
interesting. But yeah, you get one podcast a year. It's not something you rely on to regularly fill your
No,
commute.
It's a pleasant surprise when you get a 6-hour podcast once a year.
Basically, it gives you a free ebook.
Mr. Ross.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, dude. It's, doesn't bear going into. Too many.
I did put a little shout out just across our various social medias just for any sort of like
Some zappity grumbles.
just some questions. I did get one question emailed in.
That was
What
for
question
me.
did you get?
When's my paycheck? Where's that sweet podcasting dollars coming in?
The question, it's coming through from an anonymous one. It is,
What does it say?
how did that Leland guy get so charming and handsome?
Oh, what a question! What a question!
I think this is a setup.
Do you
Clearly, this is an audio medium.
think for good reason.
Oh.
Oh. Why are your feelings hurt?
He has the voice for Braille.
So why do people think you're charming and handsome?
Well, he's got a 20 charisma stat. What do you want? What the fuck do you want?
Yeah, I'd go there.
Yeah.
20 charisma.
Let's see what 20 Christmas under the hood.
That was literally the only thing we got was the one you emailed through to me today.
That wasn't me. What are you talking about?
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not meant
sorry,
to tell
I
them
should-
that's the only
Anonymous.
question.
Should read the rest of that out then.
Ross at gmail.com
in-
asks.
it was from his Gmail account.
I
I'm
got
pretty sure.
hacked. I got hacked,
In
y'all.
brackets after the question was, also ignore the sender information on this email. I am spoofing, so it appears like Ross, and remain anonymous for my important question.
That seems legit.
Story checks out.
Yeah. That made me giggle at work.
That's why.
I'm
it's
sorry
like
that your work
50
is so boring.
That's 50% of why I do anything, Ryan.
Well, that's
I
nice.
do a thing. Oh, Ryan's probably giggling now. Do we have anything else? Anything else we wanted to talk about?
If
while we're on
any
this?
advertisers would like to advertise in our podcast,
Literally, we'll sell ourselves for anything. Just give us
If anyone
stuff.
wants to advertise, don't ask for our numbers yet because
the huge, the gigantic numbers are the biggest numbers ever seen.
don't ask for
Number
it because
one
it'll just take too long
podcast.
to read out the entire number.
We're gonna
They're
build a
the best
podcast wall.
numbers.
The only
I didn't say
podcast.
singular.
All the numbers, just all the numbers.
I'll probably take this, this one to sort of spruik the social medias and bits and pieces like that.
Spruik.
Spruik.
iTunes,
Yep.
Twitter,
Well,
Stitcher,
Spotify.
Stitcher.
Spotify.
Facebook,
Spotify.
Instagram.
the Yellow Pages.
Spotify.
Written
Red
on
Hot
the-
Pie.
Written on the side of a bus that I vandalized. What? That's not a crime. Shut up.
the
Who said
street
it was?
directory.
Heimdall's Watch coming to a Tinder near you.
Spotify.
I wonder if Tinder would work.
Tinder, Grinder, Bullets, do it.
I mean, listen to what you just said. I wonder if Tinder would... No. No.
Confirmed, it does not work.
No, it doesn't work for its original intent and definitely wouldn't work as an advertising format for a podcast.
Like, what the fuck is this?
It's like,
Christian Mingle, though.
Oh, done, got him. It's untapped market.
Hey, I think we're done.
I think,
I think that's it. I think that's it. Us being done. That's what us being done sounds like.
yeah, I think that probably would be a good spot.
Well,
to-
less screaming than normal, but yeah.
But yeah, honestly, we are on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify,
Spotify.
YouTube. Fuck.
iTunes.
Instagram.
We are on Instagram at Isolated City Gaming. You can hit us up on email, which has been proven.
Hey.
IsolatedCityGaming@gmail.com.
Also, Facebook and Twitter.
Yep, Facebook and Twitter.
Facebook and Twitter.
We're
Facebook-
literally everywhere.
Yeah, Facebook is Isolated City.
We're
Gaming.
behind you.
On Twitter,
MySpace,
we
don't
are
turn
at
around.
City_isolated because Isolated City Gaming was too long, apparently. Yeah.
Classic Twitter.
Classic Twitter.
Well, there's that old character count. Make a long name on there, and all of a sudden your entire retweet is just your name.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all on the
Yeah.
six.
Yeah.
Do the whole like, subscribe, rate, comment.
Give us
All these things help.
3 stars, maybe 4.
Look,
us a
we'll
number of
take
sta-
2. Just do
Give
it.
us the number of stars we think we deserve.
1.
Oh shit.
Not the number we think we deserve.
Negative 3 stars.
Oh shit, we owe the listener 3 stars.
We owe Apple 20 stars. Oh no.
Just be generous. Take pity, please. Do something nice.
Yeah.
But yeah. Tell your friends to have a listen.
We're just
If-
4 ex-cons trying to make the best
Tell
out
your
of a bad
enemies to have a
situation.
listen.
Joe,
You know?
if you wish ear cancer on some people, tell them to come and listen to us. What?
Ear cancer.
We are the number 23 podcast with
Uh,
grandmothers.
Ryan, excuse me. Ears aren't funny?
No.
I can just edit that part out.
No, you can't.
No. You
This is
can't.
live. It's a live podcast.
In fact, I want you to double it. I want you to loop it twice and put it in there
The
again.
people need to know.
People need to know.
Oh,
we
so
need we
They
need a
need to
dubstep
know.
remix of you saying ear cancer, and there needs to be a drop, and it needs to go after
Ear
you say
cancer.
yeah,
Ear cancer.
like that.
Exactly like that.
You haven't listened to very much dubstep, have you?
No, I have taste.
Oh, good call.
Everything I learned from some guy that did a thing once, I guess. I don't know.
We're done, aren't we?
Oh, we're done.
We're
Done
done?
a long time ago.
Guys,
Goodbye, everyone.
Excelsior! That means we're done.
We're done.
Please edit the last 50 minutes out.
I
Please
will.
just
Thank
end
God.
it. And if you like that mess, you can find more of our junk on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube. Or contact us at isolatedcitygaming@gmail.com.